Hey there, welcome back to Farmcraft. I'm John, and this is a mud puddle.
Actually, this is the site of a pond that I built in 2023. We knew it was going to be challenging because it only gets runoff. It doesn't have a creek or anything to feed it. And there you can see the before and clearing off the brush, pushing off the topsoil. I've got a whole series of videos on building this pond if you're interested. I'll leave a link in the description. There I'm digging the keyway, and then we fill that back in. That makes for a good leak-free dam. And the entire dam is built out of clay. There's the plumbing for it. And then we move a lot of dirt. Lots and lots of clay. Here you can really see the dam starting to take shape, but it needs several more feet of dirt. And there's something rewarding about seeing dirt work in time lapse. And there you go, completed dam. This is August of 2023, and now we just need some rain to fill this thing.
So yeah, we're back on site at the pond build, and this is the first time I've really been back here since treating it with the Damit.
In the last video on this pond, we talked about how it was leaking through the base, and we treated it with a product called Damit that is supposed to plug leaks and seal it up.
Did it stop all leaks? It's a little too early to say. I mean, it's kind of hard to know because there's nothing feeding this pond. There's always going to be evaporation. There's always going to be seepage into the soil and plants pulling water out of the soil, out of the pond. So did it stop all leaks? Hard for me to say. Did it make a huge difference? 100%, absolutely. In fact, the pond is higher now than it was when we treated it. And we went through a pretty long dry spell right after treating it. And then the last couple of days we got some rain. Not a lot, a little over an inch. This is really promising. I think this is gonna work. What we're gonna do today, we're done playing. The owner has bought a pump, a water pump, and we're gonna go down to the creek. We're gonna open up an area where we can put an intake pipe, and we are gonna pump the creek water up into the pond. In the future, we plan to set up a ram pump, but that's gonna be in a future video. So let's get to work.
Takes a bad here.
I see what you mean. It's pretty solid rock, isn't it?
Yeah.
How deep are we going to be able to get?
This is a brand new water pump. He chose a dual fuel model so that it'll run off propane or gasoline. And I think that was a good idea. A lot of these pumps have a very small fuel tank, and it's only going to run on gasoline for a couple hours before you have to refill it. But if you have a decent sized propane tank, you can run it for quite a long time. They don't ship them with oil in them, so the first thing you have to do is fill up the oil. Don't start it before you do that.
I mean, you'd think they would put it on here.
Yeah, it's almost like they assume that it's already connected to this thing.
So the fantastic instructions on this thing failed to mention where you hook the propane up. It's right there. There was a little black cover that made it kind of inconspicuous. A lot of damn dirt. And that's quite a mud puddle. Can I pull it to the water? I have no idea how much effect this is going to have. Hopefully pumping the rest of the day will get it like halfway to full. That would be nice. What do you think? Pumping until afternoon, how high is it going to get?
Yeah, I'd say about halfway between the top of that.
That's what I hope.
It's a lot of water.
I hope it's not 2 inches.
Nah, I mean, you'll definitely get a foot or two, but...
I don't know about this throttle to low. They're coming out. Oh, there it goes. What happened?
I just pressed this button.
Huh. Okay. Do it again. Yeah, that's definitely doing it.
So once it starts, the engine should suck propane out.
Should. Kind of thinking, let's go get a little gasoline and put it in there and see if it'll run on that.
Yeah.
It's drawing down the creek. Maybe. Yeah, we're gonna have to slow it down. It's a bit of an issue here. We were having trouble, it lost its prime and we were having trouble repriming it, so we moved the pump down to this level. We still couldn't get it to prime with all the back pressure on it, so we had to drain out that pipe. It's now primed and it just pumped and we just put that pipe on there. I think what happened is it was pumping too much water and it sucked down our little pool and sucked air and lost its prime. So I'm going to have to adjust the throttle to make sure that we're not pulling too much water off of it, basically.
I should mention that where I live there are very few water use restrictions, and pumping water out of a small creek like this is perfectly legal.
And there we are. I think we can sustain that flow indefinitely, or at least today we can. If the creek goes down, that would change. Let's see what this does. What time is it? 11:38. That's a toad taking a ride on a toad. Well, 50 was a heifer until today. That's her first calf. Good job, number 50. I'm not going to hurt your calf. There's Big Mama and her calf. Doing well. We've got 6 calves on the ground so far this year. And hopefully a few more on the way.
Three, two, one, go. Wow. 5 seconds, 6 seconds.
6 seconds for 5 gallons, so 50? Really? 6 times 10, 60, 50 gallons a minute?
Yeah, that's a lot.
I didn't think it was going that fast.
That's a lot of water.
50 gallons a minute, man.
Yeah. 10 minutes would be 500 gallons.
You can start just estimating acre feet. You're getting, every 100 minutes, you're getting 5,000 gallons.
So now that we know the flow, we can do some estimating. I'm saying that the pond is half an acre. That's kind of conservative. It might be a little bit bigger. And I'm also saying that it needs 4 feet of water to be full. That also might be on the low side. But either way, when you do the math, half an acre, 4 feet of water equals 650,000 gallons. At 50 gallons a minute is 13,000 minutes. At 60 minutes an hour is 216 hours. At 24 hours is 9 days. 9 days of pumping this 24/7, assuming no losses to fill this thing. Yikes. We need some rain. So before we look at the results of this pumping, let's go back a little bit. We're all the way back in August of 2023. I'm just finishing up the pond, burning some of the brush, spreading out some of the topsoil, and then the next couple of days I start moving the equipment out. And you can see at this point there's just kind of a little puddle at the bottom, really not much to speak of. Here you can see the owner planting grass on the dam, definitely necessary to prevent erosion. And now you're about to see a massive rain event. We were actually really excited when this happened. We thought this pond was going to fill up no problem. Look at how high the water got, almost touching the drain pipe. And then we had like 3 weeks with very little rain, and you can see the water line just steadily dropping. And we got a nice shot of a little buck right here. And right there, it looked like it came back up. It was actually just the camera moving. And then right about now, we get another decent rain event. And you can see a few deer here and there. The deer seem to like the pond, or mud puddle, whatever. We have another spell without a lot of rain, and we're just going to fast forward here all the way until, I think it's November 20th. Look at how low it got. There's almost no water in it. There, we get a little rain again. And of course, the same thing happens. At this point, we were actually getting a fair amount of rain, and the pond would not fill. It would not even get as close as it did that first time, and we were convinced that it was leaking. So I gave up on the time lapse. It's actually fairly time consuming to go over there and change the batteries and get the SD cards and all that. I wasn't really getting anywhere. So the next thing we did was the Damit treatment. And then starting May, I put the time-lapse camera back out. So we got some rain right before we started doing the pumping, and it fills up a little more right here. And I think you'll notice that it doesn't drop as much as it was. The level is much more stable. So here we just now start pumping, and he pumped most of that day, and it really didn't come up that much. It's an awful lot of water. It came up a few inches.
I hope it's not 2 inches.
But it did make a difference. You can see that it is coming up. So he continued to pump for the next several days. But then we realized we really just need the rain to come now and fill this darn thing up. Okay, so we have just had about 2 weeks of very hot, very dry weather, no rain, 90 plus degrees every day. And here's where we are. He kind of gave up on pumping. It's a lot of work to come down here and keep filling it up, a lot of propane, a lot of gasoline. But look at that. The water is actually green and clear. It actually looks quite healthy. So, yeah, that's not all bad. You can see where the water seeps into the soil and then evaporates away, and that's what we're dealing with, trying to keep up with that. So clearly we need to set up a ram pump that's going to be pumping 24/7 and try to keep up with this thing. If you're not familiar, a ram pump is a really ingenious way to pump water uphill, and we're going to be able to use the creek to do it. It doesn't require any electricity and hardly any moving parts. They're really quite fascinating things. So that is going to be the next step. Man, what a job. Sheep like it though. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. So I kept track, and I burned 170 gallons of diesel fuel in this job. And interestingly, it also came out to 170 hours, and that is time in the equipment. I did not include time on repairs and going to the parts store. While we're at it, why don't you hit that like button, subscribe, share, and all that